Hello there. My name is Miss Rod. You might know me from such places as math class, or perhaps before schoolyard duty, also lunch yard duty, and if you're lucky, SSR. So today, I'm here to read you the first chapter of the book that we're going to be reading together. Here's a copy of what the real book looks like. It's called The Number Devil, and it is a novel that's based on math. And during our normal school year, I always wonder, when do I do this? Because we're so busy. And you know what? Now is the perfect time, because not only are we all in this new circumstance, but I think this is a really enjoyable way to talk about math right now, and we're all a little bit stressed out, a little unsure of when we're going to get back to school and what it's going to look like, and worried about if we're not, keeping up with everyone else. Well, we're all kind of on a pause right now. And so I want to take the opportunity to get to sort of enrich our math content with something that's a little different than what we normally do. Plus, it's language arts too, so you're kind of getting a twofer by reading and talking about a book, but it relating to math and math concepts. So I'm taking advantage of that, and we're going to read this book together. This is my backyard, one part of it, and so bear with me if you hear cars drive by. They get kind of loud sometimes, and my dogs might bark. So if they're in the house, they eat everything. Oh, and their neighbor's dog might bark too, but that's okay. We're going to just do it. It'll be fine. I'm close enough. You hear me more than anything. So let's get started, and I'll make a separate video for each chapter, and then you can replay it if you want to hear it, if you want to follow along while I read. You have the PDF version of the chapter in your Google Classroom, which is where you'll be finding this video, so it should be attached to the same assignment if you can't find it. It's a PDF, and it should be pretty straightforward in terms of just read it. And then I have the actual book that I'll be reading from, and then each chapter, I'll assign the chapter as a PDF, and then I'll make a video of me reading it as well, so that you have the option if you want to read it on your own. If you're sick of my voice, some of you are like, oh, thank goodness, a break from Miss Rod's voice. Then you can just read it yourself. But if you're someone who likes to be read too, or you like to follow along while somebody reads, or maybe you're just not as comfortable reading, like you're worried you might not know some words, we can do it together in this video. Alright, so let's start, because I can't make the video super long or else it's going to take forever to upload and all that stuff. So, the first night. And you'll start to notice each chapter is like a different night of dreams. It's pretty exciting. Here we go. Robert was tired of dreaming. I always come out looking dumb, he said to himself. For example, he would dream of being swallowed by a big, ugly fish, and even after it was over, he could smell the fish's awful stench. Or he'd be sliding down an endless slide, faster and faster, and no matter how many times he cried out, "Stop!" or "Help!" on he went finally until he woke up drenched in sweat. His dreams also played tricks on him whenever he wanted something really bad. Once, he had his heart set on a racing bike for 28 years, and he dreamed that the bike was waiting for him in the basement. It was an unbelievably detailed dream. The bike had a purple metallic finish and was parked next to the wine cabinet. He even knew the sequence of the combination lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He couldn't forget that now, could he? Well, in the middle of the night, still woozy with sleep, he staggered down to the basement in his pajamas. And what did he find next to the wine cabinet? A dead mouse. Well, that was a low blow. Eventually, Robert came up with a way of dealing with the tricks his dreams played on him. The minute he started, he would think, without waking up, it's just another one of those yucky fish. I know it's just going to happen. Or I know just what's going to happen, It's going to gobble me up. But I also know it's only a dream, because only in dreams can a fish swallow a person. Or he'd think, here I go sliding again, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can't stop, and I'm not really sliding anyway. And when the fantastic racing bike came back to haunt him, or a computer game he couldn't live without, there it was, right next to the telephone. He knew it was just a hoax. hoax means like not real. He didn't even look at the bike. He turned away, but no matter what he did, the dreams kept coming back, and that troubled him. And then suddenly one night, there was the number devil. Robert was thrilled to be free of the hungry fish and the endless slide. This time, he dreamed of a meadow. The funny thing was that the grass grew so tall that it seemed to reach the sky, or at least over his head. And what did he see but a gigantic beetle glaring at him, a caterpillar perched on a blade of grass, and an elderly man the size of a grasshopper bobbing up and down on a spinach leaf and staring at him with bright and shiny eyes. "Who are you?" Robert asked. The man responded in a surprisingly loud voice, "I am the number devil." Robert was in no mood to put up with nonsense from a pipsqueak like that. "First of all, there's no such thing as a number devil." "Is that so? How can you be speaking to me if I do not exist? And besides, I hate everything that has to do with numbers." "And why is that, may I ask? You sound as though you never went to school, or maybe you are a teacher yourself. If two pretzel makers can make 400... if two pretzel makers... What's a pretzel marker? Nothing, that's that. If two pretzel makers can make 444 pretzels in 6 hours, how long does it take 5 pretzel makers to make 88 pretzels? "How dumb can you get?" said Robert. "A colossal waste of time, if you ask me. So get going, scram shoo." But instead of doing what he was bidden, the number devil made an elegant leap and landed smack next to Robert, who was staging a sit-down strike in the tall grass. "Where does your pretzel tail come from?" "School, I bet." "Where else?" said Robert. "Mr. Blockle. He's our new teacher." "A new teacher. Well, he's always hungry, though he's got plenty of fat on him. Whenever he thinks we're not looking because we're so into the problems he gives us, he sneaks these pretzels out of his briefcase and wolfs them down." "I see," said the number devil with a wry smile. "I have nothing against you, Mr. Blockell, but that kind of problem has nothing whatever to do with what I'm interested in. Do you want to know something? Most genuine mathematicians are bad at sums. Besides, they have no time to waste on them. That's what pocket calculators are for. I assume you have one." "Sure, but we're not allowed to use them in school." Whoa, there's a picture of the number devil himself, and the giant caterpillar and the giant beetle. What did Robert see but an elderly man the size of a grasshopper? That's just... Anyway. So we're not allowed to use calculators in school. "I see," said the number devil. "That's all right. There's nothing wrong with a little addition and subtraction. You never know when your battery will die on you. But mathematics, my boy, that's something else again." "You're just trying to win me over," said Robert. "I don't trust you. If you give me homework in my dream, I'll scream bloody murder. That's child abuse." "If I'd known you were going to be such a scaredy cat, I wouldn't have entered your dream. All I want is to perk you up a little, and since I'm off duty most nights, I thought I'd spare you those endless slides you've been going down." So basically, the number devil is talking to him like he's chosen to enter his dreams, because poor Robert's like, "Are you bringing math and homework and numbers into my dreams? This is when I am sleeping, and I'm going to be really frustrated if you make school in my nightmares," basically. And he's saying, like, "I'm just trying to help you out, man. I just came here to help you out." "Gosh, thanks. I'm glad you understand. But I hope you understand that I won't let you take me for a ride." Meaning, I'm not going to let you trick me. Suddenly, the number devil leaped up out of the grass. A pipsqueak no more. "That's no way to talk to a devil," he shouted, his eyes sparkling. And he trampled the grass until it was all flat. "I'm sorry," Robert said meekly, though the whole thing was getting weirder and weirder. "But if talking about numbers is as simple as talking about movies or bikes, why do they need their own devil?" "You've hit the nail on the head, my boy," the devil replied. "The thing that makes numbers so devilish is precisely that they are simple. And you don't need a calculator to prove it. You need one thing and one thing only. 1. With 1, like 1. With 1, I am speaking of the numeral, of course. You can do almost anything. If you are afraid of large numbers, let's say 5,723,812, all you have to do is start with 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And go on until you come to 5 million, etc. Etc. means like and beyond, like and other numbers. You can't tell me that's too complicated for you, can you? Any idiot can see that. Ooh, I don't like that word. Right, said Robert. Like, okay, I get your point so far. And that's not all, the number devil added, picking up a walking stick with a silver knob and twirling it in front of Rose's nose. Excuse me, Robert's nose. I guess all Robert and nose in the same word. When you get to 5 million, etc., you can go on indefinitely, which means like keep going forever, no stopping point specifically. There's an infinite number of numbers. Robert didn't quite know whether to believe him. How can you be sure, he asked. Have you ever tried? Can't say I have, the devil answered. It would take too long, for one thing, and it makes no sense anyway. It would be a waste of time. Robert didn't see why. Either I can count to the end, in which case there is no such thing as infinity, or there is no end, and I can't count to it. Wrong, the number devil said, his mustache quivering, his eyes bulging, and his face turned red with rage. What do you mean, wrong? Robert asked. You nincompoop. I'm not a fan of that word either, not at school anyway. Tell me, how many pieces of chewing gum do you think do you think have been chewed to this day? I have no idea. Well, guess. Billions, said Robert. If you take my friends Al and Betsy and Charlie and the rest of the kids in the class, and in the city, and the country, and the world, well, trillions. At least, said the number devil. Okay, now let's pretend that everyone's gone on a chewing spree, and we're down to the last piece of chewing gum. I pull another one out of my pocket, the last one that I've saved for myself, and what have we got? All those trillions of chewed pieces of gum plus 1. Do you see what I mean? I don't really need to count them. All I need is a recipe to take care of anything that comes along, and that I have. After thinking over all that the number devil had said, Robert was forced to admit that he had a point. By the way, the reverse is true as well, the number devil added. The reverse, what do you mean? Simple, said the number devil with a grin. Just as there are infinitely large numbers, there are infinitely small numbers. And an infinite number of infinitely small numbers, a tongue twister, an infinite number of infinitely small numbers. And so saying, he twirled his walking stick like a propeller in Robert's face. Like the little pictures that we pull out of the text. I'm starting to feel dizzy, thought Robert. It was the same feeling he'd had on the slide. Stop, he shouted. Why so jittery, Robert? Asked the number devil. It's perfectly harmless. Look. I just pull another piece of chewing gum out of my pocket. There's a little bug on my book. And he did. Only it was as long as a ruler, hard as a rock, and a strange shade of purple. Call that chewing gum? Robert asked. The chewing gum of your dreams, the number devil replied. And I'm going to share it with you. Watch carefully. As long as it's whole, it's my chewing gum. One piece, one person. And sticking a piece of chalk, also a strange shade of purple, to the end of his walking stick, he said, here's how we write it. One stick of gum, one person. He traced the two stones, I'm a math teacher, not a reading teacher, sorry. He traced the two ones on the sky the way planes skywrite advertisements. So he kind of over one. The purple numbers floated for a while against the blank of white clouds, then melted slowly like a scoop of raspberry ice cream. Cool, Robert said. What I wouldn't give for a stick like that. To be able to write things in the air. Oh, it's nothing special, though it does write on anything. Clouds, walls, screens. And I never need a notebook or a briefcase, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to our chewing gum. If I break it in two, you have half and I have half, right? So we got one piece of chewing gum. You get half, I get half. One gum, two people. So the number of gum pieces goes on the top and the number of people go on the bottom. So if you see right here, there's one piece of gum, there's two people. Do you see how when I simplify that fraction, it would just be 1 over 2, which is half the piece of gum you have. Now your friends will want some too, of course. Al and Betsy, as you like. And let's say Al asks you for gum and Betsy asks me, and we share equally. That means we each get a quarter. So one piece of gum on the top, 4 people that are sharing it on the bottom, which would be 1/4, which is a quarter of a piece of gum. One piece of gum shared among 4 people. But that's just the beginning. Everyone else will want a piece. The rest of the class, the rest of the city. So each of us 4 will have to break his 4th in half, and then that will have to be halved, and that halved, and that halved, and so on. Till the cows come home, said Robert. Till the pieces are so tiny that you can't see them with the naked eye. Be that as it may, we go on having them until the 6 billion people on Earth have all had their share. But then come the 600 billion mice, and they all want theirs. In other words, we'll never come to the end of it. Meanwhile, he had been writing an endless row of purple 1s along the sky. So now he's probably got the one piece of gum on top, because they don't show a picture of that. One piece of gum on top, fraction bar of just a ton of 1s being added together. Think all the people in the world and all the mice in the world. Da, 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 da. So your fraction now is 1 on the top, and your denominator is a really, really big number, which means it's a teeny tiny amount of gum that, as the number devil told us, we can't even see with our eyeballs anymore. Like, we've got scientists cutting these down into like gum atoms or something. I don't know. Ask Mrs. Slum. Anyway, you'll fill the whole world if you go on like this, Robert cried. Well, said the number devil, puffing himself up again, I'm only doing it for you. You're the one who's afraid of numbers. You're the one who wants everything simple so you won't get mixed up. But all those 1s get so boring after a while. I don't think it's simple. It's just all those 1s give me a headache. They actually make things more complicated than they are. Well, well, said the number devil, clearing the sky with a casual wave of the hand. So you agree we need something less clumsy than 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Because that gets complicated, and as Robert points out, it's just going to go on forever, and it's going to be really complicated. Numbers, for instance, which is why I invented them. This is the number devil talking. You expect me to believe that you invented numbers? Me or a few others. It doesn't matter who exactly. Why are you so suspicious? What do you say I show you how to make all numbers out of 1s? Okay, how? Simple. I start as follows. 1 times 1 equals 1. And goes on to 11 times 11. I bet you need your calculator for that. Don't be silly, said Robert. 11 times 11 is 121. See, said the number devil, you made a 2 out of nothing but 1s. Now try this. 111 times 111. That's too hard, I can't do it in my head. Then use your calculator. My calculator? You don't think I take it to bed with me, do you? Robert's like sleeping in a dream, like snuggling with his calculator. Just because weirdos like me do it doesn't mean that children do it. Then use this one, he said, pressing one into Robert's hand. It had a funny feel to it, slimy like dough, and it was a sickly shade of green, but it worked. Robert entered 111 times 111, and he got 12,321. Cool, said Robert. Now we have a 3. Right, just keep going. So Robert entered the following. 1,111 times 1,111 equals 1,234,321. Now 11,111 times 11,111 equals 123,454,321. Very good, said the number devil, patting Robert on the shoulder. I'm sure you've noticed that not only do you get a new number each time, you get a number that reads the same forward and backward, like Anna, or Toot, or Rotator. I just talked about that with somebody in class. Palindromes, I think is what they're called. Robert thought that this was a pretty good trick, and so he tried 6 ones as well, and it worked. But when he got to, these are 7, so he's adding a 1 to each of these factors each time to see what the product is, and then each time it's like 1, 2, you notice here's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like it counts up to the new digit and then counts back down in the product. So now we're down here with 7 ones times 7 ones. The calculator gave up the ghost. To Robert's surprise, it suddenly went and melted down into a sickly green goo. So to give up the ghost means it kind of died. It just like went, turned into nothing. Yuck, said Robert. You can see it turned into goo. Yuck, said Robert, wiping the green mess from his fingers. All you need is a bigger calculator or a computer. A computer would spit out the answer in no time. Are you sure? Of course I am. Of course I'm sure. Robert thought that the number devil was a bit too confident. Maybe he was just bluffing. Robert decided to take a chance and said, you haven't tried it with, oh my gosh, 11? 11s? Times 11, 11 ones times 11 ones. Have you? No, I can't say I have. Well, I bet it doesn't work. The number devil started doing the problem in his head, but his face turned bright red again and swelled up like a balloon. Was it because he was angry, Robert wondered, or because the problem was hard? Wait a second, the number devil mumbled. I can't seem to come up with anything. You were right. It doesn't work. How did you know? I didn't. You don't think I'm crazy enough to try a problem like that, do you? I was just guessing. Guessing? Guessing is not allowed in mathematics. Mathematics is an exact science. But when you said that numbers don't stop, that they go on till the cows come home, that was a guess, wasn't it? How dare you? What are you anyway, a beginner? A rank amateur? And you want to teach me my trade? He grew bigger and fatter with every word. He started huffing and puffing. Robert was frightened. You pinhead, you pipsqueak, you stuck up little number midget. I don't like that word either. He screamed, and no sooner had the number devil got the last word out than he burst with a great bang. So the number devil's getting mad because Robert's questioning him and challenging the things that he's saying. And popped. It's like they picture the guy from Ghostbusters, the white puffy thing, and then explodes. Robert woke up. He had fallen out of bed and was a little dizzy, but he laughed to think he had outwitted the number devil. So here's the number devil on his back. And basically things got kind of heated between him and the number devil right at the end because they're arguing over like the idea of guessing and the idea of when it's okay to not know in math and when you have to be very exact. And as we know from math, guessing and estimating are different, right? Estimating is you're taking what you know and coming up with an approximation that you think is close. Guessing is like, 3,204. No, I asked you what 2 plus 2 was. That's like a guess, right? So anyway, there's our chapter, the first chapter, basically introducing the characters, right? We have got Robert sleeping and his dreams, and then if you look, it's the second night. So it's like the number devil comes to him in the night and helps him kind of think through some of these things, like the idea of like, I'm afraid of numbers. Well, let's just look at ones and see how can we get to ones, the idea of like infinity. We don't have to count there to know that it's just going to keep going because that's not a good use of our time, and things like that. So just the introduction, just getting into it, getting comfortable with these characters. They're not super seeing eye to eye. He's very confident he woke up that he beat the number devil, but I'm gotta wait and see what happens when the number devil comes back, because that is the title of the book, so he's not gone forever. So I'm hoping that with every chapter and every video, my reading gets better because I don't read out loud that often. But I hope you enjoy it. And remember, right now there's no assignment. Just listen to it. Kick back. And as we roll through the chapters, we'll see if there's some good assignments that we can do that will make this kind of fun. And I really, honestly, the first part of the chapter, my favorite part, is the explanation of basically fractions, right? And how that works. The idea of, where'd it go? There we go. No, but seriously, where did it go? Ah, this page. They talk about the idea of fractions, where you have, how many things do you have go on top? How many people are you sharing it among, or how many groups are you dividing it among, goes in the bottom. And it simply makes fractions kind of approachable, especially those word problems that are like, if you have, like in the 6th grade CPM book, there's, if you have, 2 pieces of licorice and you have 3 friends, well, guess what? Each person gets 2/3, 2 pieces of licorice, 3 friends. You're doing 2 divided into 3 groups. That's the fraction everyone gets. And it's pretty straightforward if you think about it in those terms. So I really like hearing things from different people that just make things more relatable. So anyway, hope you're looking forward to chapter 2. I'll see you in the next video.